I once believed love could survive anything, distance, temptation, even time itself. But I was wrong. It's never the big storms that sink you, it's the quiet cracks that slowly pull you apart. The small lies that eat away at you, night after night. Her name was Rachel. We'd been together 6 years, married for 2. She had this effortless charm that could brighten a room the moment she walked in. The kind of woman who made strangers feel like old friends, who could turn a dull Friday into something that felt like summer. I fell in love with that light. I just didn't realize how dangerous it would be when that light stopped shining for me. It started subtly, late-night texts, work happy hours that stretched a little too long, unfamiliar names showing up in her stories. "Just the team," she'd say with a dismissive wave, flashing her phone like proof. One last night of fun before we launched the project. I wanted to believe her. God, I did. She promised it was only one night. But she lied. That Friday, she wore the red dress I'd bought her for our anniversary. Said it made her feel confident. I still remember her twirling once in front of the mirror, adjusting her hair, smiling softly as she asked, "You don't mind if I go, right?" I told her I didn't. That's the cruel thing about trust. You never feel it slipping until it's already gone. By midnight, I was still awake. I kept telling myself not to check my phone, not to be that husband. But the silence in the apartment was deafening. Her perfume still lingered in the air, sweet, mocking. I opened social media just to feel close to her, and that's when I saw it. A friend's story. A group photo. The kind you take before everything falls apart. She was there, smiling beside a man I didn't recognize, his hand resting casually on her lower back. Amazing how something so small can make your chest collapse. When she stumbled in past 2 a.m., she smelled like alcohol and someone else's cologne. I didn't ask anything. She crawled into bed, slurred a soft "love you," and drifted off. I stared at the ceiling until sunrise. The next morning, she was all smiles and apologies. Said it was harmless, that he was just a friend from marketing, that the photo meant nothing. I nodded like I believed her, but something inside me quietly broke. It wasn't loud, just final. Over the next few weeks, her stories stopped matching. Office drinks became overnight conferences. She stopped reaching for me in bed. Even her laughter changed, once warm and easy, now distant, guarded. Then one evening, her phone buzzed face up on the counter. A text flashed before the screen dimmed. "Can't wait for tonight. Last time was worth every risk." My hands trembled as I unlocked it. The thread was long, full of messages that read like diary entries from a double life. One last night had turned into months. Different hotels, different lies, the same promises. She wasn't just lying to me, she'd perfected it. I didn't confront her. I just sat there reading, realizing how quietly love can be rewritten when you're not paying attention. Hours later, she walked in smiling, asking what I wanted for dinner. I looked at her, really looked, and saw a stranger wearing my wife's face. That's when I learned something painful but true. Betrayal doesn't always arrive screaming. Sometimes it wears perfume and silence, pretending everything's fine. The next morning, she kissed me goodbye before work. I said nothing, just watched her leave, the way a man watches his past walk out the door. At work, I was there, but not really. My body went through the motions, while my mind stayed trapped somewhere between disbelief and emptiness. I kept replaying everything. Every laugh, every touch, every "you're the only one." Every memory now carried a shadow. By evening, I decided I wouldn't act out of anger. Anger fades. What I wanted was truth. So, I waited. I didn't go through her phone again. Didn't track her, didn't ask. I simply observed. Because when you stop reacting, people show you exactly who they are. A week later, she said she had another team dinner. I smiled, kissed her forehead, and said, "Have fun." That threw her off. Maybe she expected a fight. Maybe she wanted one, something to justify what she was already doing. Instead, I gave her peace. And peace is terrifying when you're living a lie. That night, I sat in the dark. Didn't text, didn't call. Let silence speak for me. Around 1 a.m., The door creaked open. She tiptoed in, thinking I was asleep. I saw her reflection in the window, heels in one hand, phone in the other, a faint smirk on her lips. The kind of smile people wear when they think they've gotten away with it. The next morning, I made her breakfast. She looked surprised. "You're up early," she said, tying her hair. "Couldn't sleep," I answered. "Bad dreams." I smiled faintly. Something like that. I didn't mention the lipstick mark on her neck. One that wasn't hers. I didn't have to. The truth had already spoken. For 2 weeks, I lived beside her like a ghost. Calm, polite, detached. I stopped asking where she was going. Stopped waiting up for her. Every night she came home a little later. Every morning, she found me a little colder. She noticed. I saw it in the hesitation at the door, the way she lingered like she wanted me to stop her. But silence became my weapon. Then came the night everything cracked. She walked in with tears in her eyes, clutching her phone like it could confess for her. "I messed up," she whispered. "It didn't mean anything. I felt unseen." I nodded slowly. "And did that help?" She blinked. "What? Did betraying me make you feel seen?" Her voice shook. "It was a mistake, Lucas. Please, I'll fix this." I looked at her, not the woman I married, but the stranger she'd become, and said, "You can't fix what you've destroyed by pretending it never happened." Tears rolled down her face as she promised therapy, effort, anything. The same woman who once begged for space was now desperate for closeness. The irony would have been poetic if it didn't hurt so much. The same woman who once begged for space was now desperate for closeness. The irony might have been poetic if it didn't ache so deeply. That night, I quietly packed a small bag. No yelling, no emotional speeches, just calm resolve. She followed me to the door, her hands trembling. "Where will you go?" she whispered. "I don't know," I said. "But I can't stay where love feels like suspicion." As I closed the door, I half expected her to stop me. She didn't. Maybe she thought I'd return like before. Maybe she mistook my silence for forgiveness. But this time, it wasn't surrender, it was freedom. That night, I checked into a small hotel near the coast. The room smelled of salt and rain. I lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling, realizing how heavy love becomes when only one person carries it. It's not the betrayal that destroys you. It's pretending it didn't happen. In the weeks that followed, I began rebuilding piece by piece. Started running again. Ate alone without feeling alone. Learned the quiet difference between solitude and abandonment. Rachel called once. I let it ring. Later, she texted, "Can we talk?" I replied, "You already did." I just wasn't listening before. No anger. No bitterness. Just truth. Sometimes love doesn't explode. It fades. Softly. Like a song that once mattered. But doesn't anymore. That night, I deleted her number. Not out of hate, but out of peace. Because when someone shows you who they are, believing them isn't cruelty, it's self-respect. And that's what she never understood. She thought I'd always wait, always forgive. She mistook my loyalty for blindness. But I saw everything. I just chose peace over proof.